It was a typical Friday morning at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. The morning bell had just rung, and children were heading to their classrooms for another day of learning. It was December 14th, 2012, a day that would turn into the deadliest mass shooting at an elementary school in U.S. history. At around 9:30 a.m., a lone gunman entered the school and began firing. Children screamed and teachers tried to protect them. The shooter continued on his path, entering classroom after classroom and firing his weapon until his ammunition ran out. When he was done, he had killed 26 people, 20 of them children. But what led to this horrific event? Who was the gunman, and what was his motive? The gunman was Adam Lanza, a troubled 20-year-old who had a history of mental illness. He had been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and had a history of violent behavior. On the day of the shooting, Lanza had already killed his mother before heading to the school. His motive for the shooting is unknown, but it's believed that he targeted the school because it was an easy target. He knew that there would be no armed guards or metal detectors to stop him from entering the building. The shooting began at approximately 9:30 a.m. when Lanza forced his way into Sandy Hook Elementary School. He was wearing a bulletproof vest and carrying a semi-automatic rifle and a handgun. As he made his way through the school, he shot and killed the school's principal and several teachers and students. He then entered a classroom and killed 15 students and 6 school employees. But amidst this horror story, there were some heroes who put their own lives on the line to try to help others. One of these heroes was school librarian Mary Rose Christopic. She heard the gunshots and knew that something was wrong. She quickly made her way to the children's S area of the library and hid under a table with some of the students. When she heard the shooter approaching, she told the children to hide and covered them with her body. When the shooter passed by, he didn't see her or the children, and once he was gone, she helped the children to safety. Another hero was school psychologist Mary Ann Jacob. She was in her office when she heard the gunshots. She immediately called 911 and then went to the hallway to try to help. She encountered some of the students who had survived the shooting and were hiding in the hallway. She brought them to her office and tried to keep them safe. When the police arrived, they found her office empty. But they later discovered that she had left through a back door to try to get help from a neighboring school. Unfortunately, she never made it. The gunman had already arrived at that school and opened fire on the children there too. In total, 26 people lost their lives in the Sandy Hook shooting, 20 of them children. The shooting left the nation in shock and reignited the debate over gun control and mental health in America. Some people argued that the shooting was the result of a failure of mental health care in America, while others argued that it was the result of easy access to guns. The truth is likely somewhere in the middle. In the aftermath of the shooting, there were calls for stricter gun control measures, but nothing significant was ever implemented. The shooting also led to increased security measures at schools across the country. Many schools now have armed guards or metal detectors to try to prevent another Sandy Hook from happening. One of the most important things to remember about the Sandy Hook shooting is that it doesn't have to keep happening. We can learn from tragedies like this and take steps to prevent them from happening again. We can work to improve mental health care in America, and we can work to make sure that guns are not so easily accessible. The Sandy Hook shooting was a terrible tragedy that shook the nation. But in the aftermath, we have to come together and work to make sure that it never happens again. You have to remember the victims and honor their memory by making sure that their deaths were not in vain. What are your thoughts on the Sandy Hook shooting? Do you think that stricter gun control measures need to be implemented in order to prevent similar tragedies from happening in the future? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and check out other videos about similar topics. Thank you for watching.